Good morning and happy blessed Friday. I was thinking about something. I was thinking about self examination and how many people do it, how many people don't do it, if they're good at it, right? And I think it's equivalent to building a muscle. And when I talk about self examination, I talk about the ability to look within and or to see self, right? And there was something my son's father told me years ago, and he said, Shani, it's not always about you. And at that time in my life, I made a lot of things about me. I personalized a lot of things because I wasn't good with or at a place where I could see things outside of myself, that things weren't happening to me, things were happening, right? That or further, what part did I play? And that's a very important question to ask yourself. For example, when you get into an argument or you say things turned in a direction that you didn't intend them to go, the ability to step back and to look at it becomes clearer as you step away from the smoke, right? And to really ask yourself, what could I have done differently? And I've taken those skills and applied them to day to day. For example, there was a parent one time that I had to keep contacting over his child who their behaviors in the classroom were increasing. And particularly when you're dealing with parents, it's hard for them to see the behavior and try to understand it. What they do is they personalize it because in their eyes, you're talking about them, and their child is a reflection of them, or you don't like their child and you're picking on their child, and that just simply isn't it. We know that kids when they're younger don't have the words and or the ability to tell you what's wrong, but they will show you, right? So there's that saying of, I can show you better than I can tell you. Kids don't have a choice in that matter. They just show you. They show up and their behaviors show you. I can tell people that sometimes you don't even need to have a conversation with a parent or an adult, let's just say for that matter, to know that there's something going on based off of their behaviors. And it's not sciencey, it just is a reality of like what you are actually witnessing. You're witnessing something being expressed through behavior. And so the ability to self reflect and be introspective is to say, what could I have done differently? So this dad was yelling and screaming over the phone. And I knew in that moment that he was very, very, very frustrated. Who wouldn't be frustrated if they kept getting calls around, hey, your child's doing this, your child's doing that? And the call was passed to me. So I knew that there were several calls that had been made, and I thought, well, maybe I can take a different approach. Well, he was frustrated, he was fed up. And so, in the middle of him having trying to tell me something, I just had to pause, break, and I said, sir, listen, I think everything that you're saying is really important, but I can't hear you when you're yelling at me. So I'm going to ask you to take it down, right? And in that moment, he was able to drop down, and his voice lowered, and then I was able to connect and be compassionate and understanding around his frustrations and irritations around the call. I was able to schedule him to come in and to sit down to have a face-to-face conversation. Because phone calls and text messages, a lot gets lost in translation. And through that, we were able to try to work on some kind of behavioral support plan for his daughter, and access more resources. And so I often think, what if I personalized this man yelling at me on the phone? What if I forgot about who I was in that moment and went right back to my old self and started yelling and interacting with him on the same level as I did or as he was, that would take some kind of toll on me, right? Because then I would probably have some regret. And I don't want to live with regrets, right? I would rather in that moment listen, hear, and see how I want to show up, not based off of how someone else is showing up, right? Because then I would be having that conversation of, again, what could I have done differently if it would have went left real quick? What should I have done? What could I have done? And shoulda, coulda, woulda is said and done. It is what it is. And so knowing that you have the ability to step back before situations arise and really think about how you want to show up, how you intend to show up, what you want to say in a very thoughtful manner. And some people, let's just keep it real, are just ignorant, right? So sometimes you just cannot engage or you cannot have that conversation and you cannot drop in because some people don't know how to self-regulate. They don't know how to soothe themselves. They don't know how to not go from 0 to 100 real quick, and then they drag you and pull you into something. But just keeping in mind that we all play a part in something, right? And so it's so easy to point fingers at other people and say, they did this and this is why I did this. And that's just not good enough. You did it because you didn't have the self-control, you didn't have the ability to self-reflect, and you allowed someone to trigger you in a way where you stepped outside yourself. So the next time you're confronted with something, try to be more introspective, try to be more self-reflective, and try to be more thoughtful before entering in. Some things deserve your input or attention and time, and some things just don't at all. So just a thought. Thank you for listening. I love you. Happy Blessed Friday.